South Korea, 2002. July. Average temperature 26 degrees. Humidity 75%. Large Spanish man in polyester shirt. Yes, shocking moment number 45 is Jose Antonio Camacho and his ridiculously sweaty pits.
It's very sad that we remember him for his personal hygiene issues rather than anything else he did in the game.
This guy comes out and he wears everyday clothing. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't dress for the weather at all. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't cold. Yeah, he knew that. The weatherman didn't lie. Yeah.
I went for short-sleeved and cotton, personally.
You want a very nice shirt, but more important than the shirt, you know, your missus would go, have you got everything? You know, a cool shirt, that hot climate. Have you got your deodorant? You know, didn't any of the players say, hey, Camacho, have you tried this? It's called deodorant. Just give it a go. Just please give it a go.
There was a lot going on under that armpit, do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself, that's not going to help the team for confidence, is it?
I mean, any time he put his hands up to demonstrate, they must be going, oh, crikey. You know, he'd switch off.
Camacho there drying his armpits whilst appealing.
The Roy Keane story was huge. You know, Roy Keane does what Roy Keane wants to do and won't be told by anybody.
And in 2002, what Irish captain and talisman Roy Keane wanted to do was get kicked out of the Irish World Cup squad for throwing a giant straw.
It definitely shocked me when I heard the news. It really, really surprised me.
That was ludicrous, because the press went mental and they were like, oh, Roy Keane's ruined Ireland's chances. What? Like their chances of getting knocked out in the first round, which is what's going to happen.
Keane, unhappy with poor facilities for the squad, sought out manager Mick McCarthy for a quiet word. Unfortunately, it was the C word.
I will not tolerate the level of abuse that was thrown at me, so I have sent him home.
He was upset about the dry cleaning standards of the kit, and then he wasn't happy that the team had only eaten cheese sandwiches on the flight. He was saying that was not a diet for a World Cup team.
Got no comment on that.
It was Ireland. The preparations were never great, in all honesty. You know, in 1988 European Championships, we ended up in a hotel that had a nudist colony attached to it.
Ireland made it to the last 16 without Roy, who'd flown home and spent the rest of the tournament walking his dogs.
Roy Keane's dog must be the fittest dog in the world. How many walks does that dog go on? Whenever there's a news flash about Roy Keane, you know he's out walking that poor dog.
Every sort of East End gangster you see, they always get dogs. Every mental person has a dog. It just kind of reflects them. You go to any rough estate in Britain, there's always a dog barking outside a boarded up house, and I think Keane's got that mentality. He's like the Phil Mitchell of football. I'm not mad enough, so I'll get 2 dogs that could kill you.
That's what my mum and dad do when they have an argument. My dad goes and walks the dog. I'm not suggesting that him and Mick McCarthy were indulging in that kind of a relationship. Sexual. Actually, my parents isn't probably a sexual relationship now. They're in their 70s.
There are certain things that make England great, like fish and chips,
Cream teas.
cricket,
The Queen.
brown sauce,
GM6.
high rates of teenage pregnancy.
Beer bellies.
All great things, Pete, but there's nothing more English than losing on penalties.
When it goes to penalties, what happens to England? You start packing the suitcase.
But it wasn't always thus. At the end of extra time in their semi-final against Germany in 1990, England were heading into what was for them uncharted football territory.
It was signalled as a new era. We're in penalties. And it was actually quite exciting.
It was quite a new situation for us, but we had prepared for it.
Gary Lineker is now asked to beat the goalkeeper, and does.
England's first ever shootout was going well.
Scores.
This penalty lot was a doddle.
Goalkeepers are making every effort to save these.
Plus, we had the best goalkeeper in the world, probably.
Peter was 40 then. You know, and he had a great World Cup. He kept us in a lot of times.
As a goalkeeper, I think you just try and stay calm. and you really just hope that your luck's in.
But because there'd been extra time, it was past 10 and normally he'd have been tucked up in bed. He knew what to do, he just couldn't quite do it anymore. Plus, he was up against Das Oberpenalty-Maschinen.
The Germans so ruthless. Yes, yes, yes.
All of their penalties were perfect.
It's just like, what is this penalty machine?
With the score level at 3 penalties each, up next was Stuart Pearce, regular taker and scorer for his club. Pearce had a thunderous shot, and the only thing at risk was the net.
If there's one person you would bet your life on would be able to pull it out the bag for England.
Can he do it for England? He can't! Ilner has made a save!
Everyone was very shocked when Psycho missed, even himself. He probably didn't imagine he was going to miss.
But worse was to follow.
That means that England have to score the next one to stay in it.
But everything was okay, because up next was Chris Waddle, and he was clearly relishing the prospect.
His shoulders are hunched, he's not even focused, he's not looking at the goal, he looked dejected.
He didn't half give it some welly, though.
It wasn't even just close, was it? Skied it over the bar.
He should never have had his hair cut.
Love Chris Waddle. And when he smashed that over the bar, you feel the whole nation sort of all burst into tears at the same time. It's dreadful.
Most players, I don't care what they say, most players want someone else to miss. And I know that a lot of players where you come on, you put your arm on and say it, and you're really thinking, thank God it wasn't me. If you know that you're going to get a pizza advert out of it, maybe, yeah.
Yes, whilst we were all too upset even to eat, Messrs Waddle and Pearce cashed in with an advert.
Pan pizzas, unless I'm mistaken.
Taking the pizza out of all of us. In 1994, mild-mannered Gianfranco Zola was stunned when Mexican referee Brizio Carter sent him off just 7 minutes into his World Cup debut.
And it's a red card.
It was a ridiculous decision by the referee, and I know that these happen to every country, but that one really sticks in the mind.
Would have to say that I think a red card is harsh.
I think, he took it quite well, considering.
It literally collapses when he sees what's happened.
He's on his knees, sort of holding his chest like a baby. He gets even more sort of petulant and he starts trying to pull in the advertising hoarding. Verge of tears.
But while there was pain for Zola, Nigeria's Sunday Olasey seemed overjoyed with his teammates' apparent injury.